Hi guys, how are you all today? Good to see you. Tell us where you're from. You never know, somebody might be stitching next to you. I have an apology to make. I have been in a meeting since 1 o'clock this afternoon, and honestly, everything I don't know where the teacup letters went. People are messaging me in between, and I'm going, oh. So I mean, I had 5 minutes to go to the restroom, and that meeting went much longer than I anticipated. So we're going to wing it today. You guys get to call and just get to yell out questions for me because otherwise, this is going to be a really short show. I have now I do know it's the teacup design. I remember it's somewhere around 7 inches, and I know that macchiato was in it, but other than that, I'm not real sure. I'm going to look and see here if I see the comment that I can maybe I can find it. Let's see here. If I look at all comments, I may be able to figure this out. Aha. No, Melba, yours is not going to happen today because you can't trace. Okay, I got you, Kelly. So I found it. You can't bring in, what am I trying to say, Melba? You can't bring in text from the machine into BES4. Okay, just doesn't happen. Um, yeah, it was a brother meeting, yay. But it was actually one-on-one, so it just went way longer. We had a lot to review today. Let's just say that. So, all right, I've got the words copied. I kind of know what you want. I need to look and see what size it was again. Let me place this onto a document. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry. Today it is that time of year that we are absolutely nuts. Okay. So it is kind of that, it's just that time of year. So, all right, let's start. I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to start with BES4, and we're going to kind of review word collage again. Okay. I know I've done that multiple times, but sometimes we need a little refresher. So I'm going to refresh your brains on word collage. So we got people chit chatting with each other here. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Karen's popping up. So Liz is here from Idaho. She's doing some hand sewing on a wool blazer. Well, why don't you do one of those for me? I'll let you. Not happening for me sewing anything for myself at this point. Marcia, a knockdown stitch in BES4 is possible if you have Power Pack 1. That's all you got. Power Pack 1 has an automatic knockdown stitch. Okay, guys. So I'm going to take myself off the screen, and we're going to look at the screen by itself in all of its glory here. Why does that have a red around it? That's weird. All right, we are going to go to our tools tab because that is where we will find word collage. And let's touch the word collage button. Got it? This right here, word collage. And that's going to, oops, I hit the wrong one. Word collage. So here we go, and we are going to go find the teacup. Where is that little teacup design? It should probably, maybe it's under cup. Is it under cup or is it under teacup? It must be under teacup. I'm looking. If I can go in alphabetical order, I'll be pretty good here, right? There it is. Okay, here's my teacup. Now, she is making that teacup. I'm going to look here and see 7.71 by 4.92. Okay. Oh, goodness. You must be doing it the default size. So let me go back in here to do this. Here we go. English. Now I'm going to have to find that darn teacup again. Teacup. Here we go. So 7.91 by 4 point something. 4.92. So she turned off maintain aspect ratio. Okay. 4.92. Now, and we're going to go in and put our words in. So I'm going to copy these words directly here and paste them into this window. So right mouse click, paste. And I'm going to show you what is not going to show up for sure. If we go to the beginning, the Pine Top Coffee House will not show up. It is not possible for it to get that many words in one item, okay? So not going to happen. I'll go ahead and let you see what happens, but that's not going to pop up. So I'm leaving everything alone right now. These are the defaults. We're just going to leave it alone and see what happens besides the width and height. That's the only thing I've adjusted here, leaving it alone. And once it generates that, we'll see what it gives us the first time. Now, here we go. All right, so you'll notice we got most of the words here, but we did not get the Pine Top Coffee House. So I'm just going to totally take that one out of the mix. All right, now that's out of the mix. And let's do one other thing. Let's change to horizontal and vertical and diagonal instead of any and see if we get better results. Usually when you do that, you'll get better results than you do if you put any in there. And you just keep generating until you get a combination of something that you like. Now, there you go. I mean, that's got most of them in there, it looks like. And we can always change our colors later. Fresh ground, so it's not going to get fresh ground because it's spaced out and that's too big. Let's see if we can get fresh ground in there by putting it together. We can always add the space later. So let's see what we get. So you'll notice I got fresh ground that time. Let's keep going until we see something that we like. Actually, I kind of like that last one. But every time that you hit generate, you're going to get something different. So like I got fresh ground that time. I actually even kind of like that color. But let's see here. Let's change our artwork let's change our font. So in the base level BES4, you have one font that you can select. So let's just go with the one font. And I'm going to choose something that's a little bit smaller. Drake, although, is a pretty good one to choose. I will tell you that one. It's a nice size font, and it resizes pretty well to where you can see things. Kelly, if you have Power Pack 1 and 2, then you have font category 2, so you can actually choose two fonts at the same time. So if you want to try one in chalk and one in Drake, which is what I'm doing right now, there you go. I'm getting one in chalk and one in Drake. And you may get a few more words that way. I'm going to notice I get fresh ground. I actually like that one. So I'm going to say, okay. And let's start looking at this and see what we can play with. Okay. So I'm going to click off of everything. And let's say I want this to be brown, the coffee cup itself to be brown. I'm going to touch it, and let's touch the color dark brown here. There you go. Now you've got a dark brown coffee mug. If you want to adjust these words, like, I mean, I see fresh ground and cappuccino are both the same color. So how about we change that one to orange, or you could do the light blue on that one if you want to keep it in the color scheme that it popped up. You are in control of this part. So you get to actually make those adjustments and play. Now you said you wanted the pine whatever place down at the bottom here. All right. So in that case, I'm going to move some words out of the way. I'm going to move Java back in here a little bit. Move that one out. I'm going to move that one out. I'm going to make macchiato go up a little bit faster. Y'all, I don't drink coffee, so this is hysterical that I'm sitting here doing this coffee thing. And we're going to make cappuccino just a little bit smaller. I'm going to shrink it in just a hair's breadth here. There we go. Okay, so let's go grab the word pine, the Pine Top Coffee House, and I'm going to copy that in here. So we're going to go home, and we're going to go text, and we're going to go text on a circle today. Actually, yeah, let's do text on a path. So I'm going to do path text, and I'm going to click on the thing to click on the design page, and we're going to choose path number, whatever that one was. And I'm going to come over here, right mouse click, and paste and apply. So there is my font. I mean, that's my text. I don't want it that big, and I don't want it that font style. What were we using here? Drake or chalk, right? So let's do chalk. And apply. And I'm going to show you a little trick on this as well. So that's a little too big. Let me delete that one more time. I want to see how long this is. So I want to see here, ruler. From here to here, how big is that? Down at the bottom, that is 7.29 inches, it looks like. Yep, 7 inches. So now let's go back into that path text tool and click on our design page again. And we're going to change that path number to like 7.5. And then select our curved path. Now, notice how that's better along the size that we want. Now I'm going to come in here, right mouse click, and paste my text again. And see if that doesn't look a little bit better. It does. The font is too large for that, but that's okay. We can come and see how big can we make this guy. He can go down to 0.31 inches. So let's take him down to about 0.5 and apply. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's rotate it a little bit. Yeah, I might want to rotate it just a hair bit more. And I personally would probably make it all caps instead of lowercase, just so that you can fit it in there, which means I'm going to have to do all caps here. Oh, what was it? Pine tap. All right. And let's click apply. There we go. Let's make it just a bit smaller. Let's go with 0.4 and apply. And now I'm going to show you how to adjust that. Ooh, hello, not 4 inches, 0.4. Thank you. Oops. There we go. Okay, so I'm happy with that, but I want it to match the shape of my coffee mug, right? So we're going to go back to path text. And let me come back over here and see if I have any questions so far. We're going to go back. Oh, pine top. You don't like pine tap? Okay. Pine top. Same number of letters. There you go. So right mouse click on it and choose edit baseline. This allows you to come in and move that down. We can change the arc of that. We can do the same thing on this side, change the arc a little bit. We can move this down, change that up. We could add points if we needed to. So if I want to add a point right here, I can say add a point, pop it back up there a little bit. And let's right mouse click now. Looky there. That is pretty much what I want it to be. And then I would move my latte up just a hair. And I might move my Java back in and change its color. So you can sit there and play all you want with this, as much as you want. But the key that I have learned, if you're not getting many words, or if you're not getting the words that you want, then to go in there and change it to the horizontal, vertical, and diagonal orientation instead of any, and you get a much better result. You can also play, I don't have any words over, oh, well, I've got fresh ground touching, but most of the time they're not. So, I don't, if you need to adjust them slightly, adjust them. You can play with all of the fonts. You can change fonts out once you've landed on your page. That's just what I consider, as I've said before, a template to start working on this, to make it your own and play with it. So don't get stressed about it. make sure you just kind of play and have fun with it. Um, you never know what you're going to get. You've heard me say it many times. If you see something you like, go ahead and click apply. Go ahead and say okay, because if you don't, you may not see it for another 2 years. It just does, because it's randomly generating it. And you may be sitting there clicking all day till it comes back to the arrangement that you actually liked. So just kind of keep that in mind and go forth and multiply. Any other questions on that one? I mean, y'all have seen me before. I don't know that I have any coffee designs, but if you wanted to add a design into it, you can go into your accent designs and look and see if there's something that looks coffee-ish, and I don't see anything coffee-ish here. Let's see here. Is there anything in, I know there's nothing in designs, but you might find something in monogram designer decors that you could put in there, like a cupcake or something. But I don't think there's a lot of coffee designs in here, but you can check and see if there's something you want. Now, if I had words that were overlapping, I would nudge them slightly into a different spot. Really, just if they're touching and going over the top of each other, I would just kind of adjust them slightly. And I mean, I think that's too many Javas in one place. So let's move Mocha up there. Put a little Mocha love up. And then I would change its color. So you just kind of sit here and futz with it and play with it and see what you get until you get something that you feel like is worth embroidering. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to come back over here and see if we have any questions here. So that curve is done with path text. And if you know, after you've put your text in and you've applied it, then you go back and click the path text tool again. That gives you the ability to right mouse click and choose edit path. Then you can play with the path. I mean, there is another way you could have done it, and that instead of doing path text, let me copy this text. So instead of doing path text, I could have come in here and done normal text. And let me paste it. And let's apply. And then you could have brought this down here and you could have chosen envelope text. So I'm going to hide this one right here. I'm going to hide this guy. Let's change the color of this one so it's a different color, and then we'll hide this one. Okay. So you can come in here and choose, why is that not giving me what I want? Select, oh, they're over here. Yeah, they're already out there. I'm looking for it a different spot. You can choose the concave vertical or this one. Either one of those will work. So once you do that, you'll notice how it's adjusting itself. I'm going to show you how to change the adjustment to where it's even more. So this one, you're not going to get as much movement on as you would if you did the other one. I think the other one will stitch out better because this one is going to be somewhat distorted because of the way you have to curve it. So you'll notice I'm grabbing these pink nodes on the outsides and moving them up. And then I'm grabbing see that little cursor that comes in? This is not quite as precise, and it takes a little more finesse. I'm going to take this and move it down. The circles increase the curve, but I personally like the other method better for this particular activity because you can wrap it better with the other one. This is just a harder wrap. Okay. All right. No, you cannot play with the words after you've sent them to your embroidery machine if you've created word collage in here, because it goes as one completed design. And so if you were trying to you can always create a word collage directly on the machine. It's just going to be more work. The fact that this does most of the hard work for you automatically is what makes it so unique. I mean, you could bring up one of your shapes from my design center and then type in words on the Luminaire or the 10 needle or the Dream or the Stellaire, and basically copy and paste and change the font or change the text and arrange them yourself. Though what's unique about this is that it does it itself, so you don't have to do it yourself. No, Velvet, if you've chosen a 6.5-inch block and you have a 1/2-inch seam allowance allowed in the advanced quilt design software, then it will be if you sew with a 1/4-inch seam, then it will be a finished block of whatever you chose. Okay, so you're picking your finished block size. The software does the math for you, adding whatever seam allowance you chose. Now, remember, that's one of the things that I said immediately upon updating. Anytime it updates on you or when you first open it, you want to make sure that you adjust that seam allowance back to a quarter of an inch if that's what you sew at. If you sew at a 1/2 inch, then you want to put the 1/2 inch seam allowance. It's whatever you use that is your preference. So keep that in mind. All right, here's my advanced quilt design. Evidently, I decided to open it 3 or 4 times. But let's say here, my width is 8 inches. Let's say I wanted 12 inches. And I'm going to do two blocks across and 1 block down. Okay. So if I come and bring these 2 in here, when I go to export my project, so when I go to my tools tab and I touch export project, let me turn off the comment. You want to make sure you change that seam allowance right here to a 1/4 of an inch because it defaults, I believe, to 0.15. Okay. So that's the easy way to do it. Just make sure that you change that seam allowance and that you sew at the seam allowance that you selected. That's probably the biggest issue. Okay, so let me see here. I've got something running in the background here, gang. Hold on. I got to get rid of something. You're going to turn off. Oh, well, but that's not what it is. My advanced quilt design software is stuck in the middle of my screen and I can't get it to go away because I clicked on it a gazillion times. So you can't see the screen. What screen couldn't you see? Okay, we'll try it again. Not that one. Let's see. My advanced quilt design software is hung up, gang. So let's try it again. 2 by 1. And I'm going to pop a block in. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more time. On your Tools tab, you can't see me do what? When I touch Export, here's my export page. Do you see that? Change that seam allowance to a 1/4 of an inch. And then touch Export. I'm not going to export it, okay? Because I don't need that on my computer, but that's how you do it. All right. Let me go see what the other questions were. So other questions that I had for today. Boy, that's distracting that's right in the middle of my screen. You all can't see it, but I can. There's a big blob right here in the middle of my screen, which is annoying. All right. Let's talk about NP design. What formats are exported and what formats are opened or imported or saved automatically. Anything that is not a PES file has to be imported. It cannot be opened. That includes PHC, PHX, DST. Anything other than PES file extension must be imported. If you want to save it as a different extension than PES, you must export it. So those are the 2 things. So anything, if you want to save it as a DST, an EXP, Jeff, a SEW, whatever file extension that you want to save, VIP, you must export those. And that's found in the export menu. So let's say, for instance, I've got this B and I want to send it to somebody else to stitch. Now, I would not do this because this is a B for my embroidery, so I'm not allowed to share it, but here we go. I would say export, choose the file extension that I want for it, choose where I want it to go. So first of all, let me tell it where I want to go, and I'm going to go to my data drive, and I'm going to go to, we'll just go to Facebook Live Cindy files. Here we go. So here's my file. I'm going to save it as, let's do an HUS file. Now, when I press save, that now has saved as an HUS file. If I try to open that file, so let me just press new instead of delete. I don't want to save those changes. So let's go file and open, and let me go to my Facebook Live files. Okay, so let's see here. That was MIG something. So you'll notice that the only format available for me is PES. So that one's not going to be showing up right here because I cannot import it. It only lets me open. Okay, so let's cancel that. Now go to your import menu, and we're going to choose from folder. And let me find, here's my Facebook Live file. So it should be in here. Let me refresh. I'm looking. MIG. Did I not put it in this? There it is. Duh. Okay, so there it is. There's the file that I just exported. You'll know that notice that the colors have changed. And the reason the colors changed is because it converted it to the HUS color palette. So when it brings something in, if it's a different format, it's going to change it to the different color palette. So for instance, let's say I save this as a DST, it's going to come in shades of blues. And that's just the way it does. So if I export as a DST, it's going to come in blues. The other question that came in was, what do the little dashed lines around things mean? If you have black dashed lines, that means something is in fixed stitch format. So if we have two of these on the screen, they are in fixed stitch format. You will notice if I select them both, my editing tools are not available because they are purchased designs or designs that are in fixed stitch format. Say that fast a few times. The only designs that you can do things like modify, overlap, stamp and emboss, fit and text to path, those are things that you've done yourself, or things that have been converted to outlines or blocks. So if I come in here and I go up to my stitches tab and I say convert to blocks or convert to outline, we'll try convert to blocks first. And then we come over here and we say convert to blocks again. You'll notice they have blue dashed lines around them. Blue dashed lines signify something is grouped, okay? But you'll notice these have been turned into blocks, but they are broken up blocks of stitches, so it's not necessarily what we want. So I'm going to undo twice. Instead of converting to blocks, I'm going to convert to outlines, and we're going to convert parts to outlines. And that will give us a better idea of what we want, except for that satin stitch outline. Then you could come in and you could say, all right, I want to remove the overlaps from these two parts. So I can select this one and the first one with the control key, select patterns, go to my home tab and go modify overlap, and I can remove that overlap. And you'll notice that If I move this bee away, that overlap underneath for the yellow is gone. You would need to do that for each color. So if you had the black, let's go to our black and see what happens if we change that to a running stitch. Ooh, that's not going to let us do it because it's one solid group. That's a bummer. So what I would do personally, I would have copied my bee first, copy my bees to the clipboard so that I could come back in and play with them. Then you could come in and you could split at points, but we're not going to go there today. That's just too much. Blue dash lines grouped, black dash lines a fixed stitch pattern, which means you must convert it to blocks or convert it to outlines. Robin, why would I convert to blocks versus outlines? Well, blocks, let's say you have letters, text, and they're following a curve. The convert to blocks will convert it to that curved shape, as opposed to convert to outlines, probably going to assign it all the same direction. So the convert to outlines is looking at the outline attributes of it, including the outer edge and the inner edge. So that's why our running stitch turned into a fill area, because it looked at both sides of that black outline and turned it into a fill. So the convert to blocks actually did better for the black. So let's see what we could do here. Let's bring that back in. And I mean, there are definitely workarounds here. So I've got two bees again. I'm going to do this. We're going to go divide by color. And once again, over here, I'm going to divide by color. Well, the only thing that I want to, I'm going to group, I need to grab all that bee. So I grabbed all the bee and get it where I want it to go. The only thing I really need to adjust on this one would be my bee wings. So if I take my bees, grab those two pieces and select them, and I say convert to block, or convert to outline, I would do this, convert whole to an outline. That's what I want it to do. So now I can come in and grab that, come down here, grab the wing, go up and select those patterns, go to my home tab, modify overlap, and remove overlap. And now it's just done it from the wings. Now that those little black outlines are still going to be there on that one, but I could actually futz with that. So, and it would, that truly would not kill my project, but it has actually removed those things from underneath. So, I mean, there's a variety of ways that you can play with something. Now, the other thing on that particular bee, if we look at the original bee versus the bee, versus the bee that I have up here. So let me show you what the original bee looks like if I come in and divide by color and take it apart. Stitches, divide by color. And I'm not worried about this because this is imported. So if you, let me change that color so y'all can see it a little bit better. So see that yellow, the area that was yellow, do you see how it's got that crosshatch underneath it? Let's come and look at it here. Do you see that it's turned all those crosshatches into fill areas because I changed the black? Not optimal. So I would probably hide the other parts of the design, and I might go in here and go select point, right mouse click, split at point, right mouse click and split at point on the opposite side. Let's see if we can fix this. Add a point, hold my control key and my alt key down and drag it and close it back up. So there's my fill area for that side. And I would do the same thing for the opposite side. Right mouse click, split at point, right mouse click, split at point. Oops, you're not letting me. There we go. Split at point, add a point, or actually just take one of these and move it down, and then hold the alt key down on the keyboard and drag it over to the other one. Let go of the mouse and then let go of the keyboard. But you can, I could have certainly hidden the other parts of this one. Then it's not going to sew that mess on top. You just have your bee. So, I mean, there's where there's a will, there's a way. You can always do a work around something, but I would have hidden my black outline. So if you click on this, you can press the hide key. Oops, wrong one. So let's go to the bottom B. Here, touch that one and touch the hide button. See how it hides? Am I hiding the wrong one? I'm hiding the wrong one. There we go. So it hides the black instead of having to work through it. I'm trying to find my mouse here, guys, so I can bring it over this screen. There we go. So there are reasons that you would do both, and sometimes I do a combination, but it's just a matter of playing back and forth and back and forth. Y'all couldn't see the screen because I was trying to get rid of that one fly up that kept going on and on and on forever. So I did Control-Alt-Delete, which is probably not the best thing to do during a live. It will sew the hide. So it's still there. I just hid it so that I could see behind it what I needed to touch. Maybe I need to explain that a little bit better with one that's been hidden. So come back and look and see. Let's see here. All right. So let's say we hide that one, and we're going to hide all of this. Okay, so those are all hidden. Now let's hide this black on the right. I keep turning that one back on. What? I'm just getting rid of this so I don't have to deal with it. Now I know what I've got. Oops, undo. What did I get rid of? I just want to be able to see what I got going on here. So let's see here. Let's zoom to this selection. Home, zoom to selection. All right, so there we go. Now let's go find our little black outline here. There we go. And let's hide it. And I would want to hide that orange right there. So now you see what I was seeing before. It's just hidden. I haven't deleted it. But this would let me come in and go select point and do what I just did. Split at point. Go the opposite side, split at point. Add a little point right there so we can come and take this over, Alt key, and attach. And do the same to the opposite side. So now let's go turn those back on. So which ones did I hide? I hid this one. Let's turn it back on. And I hid this one. So now you can see the design underneath it, okay? So you can see things that are happening underneath it. So it's a very useful tool. If you don't want to do, well, no, since we converted to outlines, that's the only way we can do that, unless we convert it back to stitches, and then we could do something else. But the easiest way is just to split at point. But if you don't want to do that, there is another workaround. So let's undo and get back to where we had the whole outline back together. Okay. So this has been turned to blocks. So if I select it here, you'll notice I have convert to stitches that activates. That means it's either in blocks or an outline format. So if I touch convert to stitches, now I can take that yellow and I can go to the stitches tab, use my split stitches tool. And that gray area is the stuff that's hiding, that's basically not being attached right now. So you can snip around this and get rid of what you want. So if you're not good with split at point, this is your alternative. Then you can delete it and get rid of it. And we could also do the same thing with the bee. Actually, we can do something a little bit easier with him. Right mouse click, split him at point. Do the same thing on the opposite side, and then just delete that end line. So here it is. Excuse me, right here. Move it in. Oh, we do have to have the select tool. And delete. Oh, we got another one. That's that one. We don't want that. So let's come back. Split stitches tool will be easier on that one too. So let's just undo and undo. Get back and select your black. Split stitches tool and snip that black off. Then you can delete it. So now if you turned your other bee back on, which is this one. Okay, where did you go? Oh, she's way out there in the dust. She's all the way over there. So if we put her back where she was, there you go. I got rid of everybody, but there's my bee. So, all right, guys. Any other questions today? Those seem to be those were the ones that I had that came in. I'm going to ask a favor. If you guys have questions between now and next Tuesday, please send those in. The earlier, the better. That gives me a chance to look and prepare. I am extremely busy right now. I have deadlines every week, and I'm about to get ready to go take care of my dad for a little while. So if you have something that you have a question about, I would really appreciate it if I get those by at least the weekend so that I can start planning for what's going to come. And, because that's where we do things. So how do you change the density in a purchase design? Susan, you convert it to blocks or you convert it to outline, and then you adjust it in the sewing attributes. So hold on. Same way that we just did. Let's bring that other one back in. So let's bring our bee back in. If I go up to my stitches tab and I say convert to blocks, it's going to convert the whole kit and caboodle to blocks. But what if I only need to adjust the wings? All right. So what would I do? That's when I would say divide by color, select my yellow wing. I must have those two hidden still, and convert them to blocks. I usually leave my sensitivity at normal because it tends to put in the least amount of extra stitches. Let me delete these two. Yep, they're hanging out there by themselves and we don't need them. So that's my undersewing. I don't want to mess with it. This would be my, let's go ahead and grab all those and make them the color pink so we can see them. So now you can see this is undersewing pretty much. This is a column stitch. So let's go to our sewing attributes. And if you want it more dense, you can just hit the default density button and it will adjust it. And you're basically doing that for the parts that are column stitches. Oops. See, I must have picked something that's not. That's not a column stitch. So it's a running stitch. Let's grab. And it'll tell you because you won't have density. And that allows you to go back to defaults. It also allows you to increase it further up than a default if you would like to. And you can adjust the shape. Okay. So your sewing attributes are what you want to work with when you're playing with density of other designs. If you did convert to outline, it really does change the entire design. I rarely do that because if you do, I mean, it's totally going to change the stitch of the design. Let me bring in an example of that. Let's see here. Let's go to import and let's go to our design library and florals. Okay, so I want you to look at this chrysanthemum, and we're going to duplicate it so we have two of them. One I'm going to convert to blocks and one I'm going to convert to outlines. Now, I know I would not want that stitch at the bottom to be adjusted in any manner. So let's go see what happens. Stitches, convert to blocks. And that didn't do too bad. I could live with that. Stitches, convert to outline, convert parts to outline is going to totally change this design. So really depends on what you're trying to do with it. Um, it is not, no, it converts the entire design to the outline. If I wanted this, if I said convert whole to outline instead of part, I use this trick sometimes to get an outline right up against a design. So if I say convert whole to outline, I might copy the design. Oh wait, I forgot to, hold on. Evidently I got two of them up there somehow. If I say convert whole to outline, I'm just going to get one green item. But like I said, there have been times that I will copy and paste my design and use this as an outline to go around my region just to be able to play with it. So if I'm trying to get it to do something special, or I want to make a special, let's say I wanted to make the applique right up against it or something, I've done that, been known to do that. All right, guys, if there is nothing else, then I guess I'm here to answer any questions for the next few minutes. If you're not quick on the typing, then I am about to say ta-ta for today. I have a little girl that's already been shaking her head at me, so y'all know what that means. It's time, Mom. So my little clock talks to me all the time. Play with your software. Get in there and dive into it. The only thing that you can do is possibly just crash it for the day. I mean, just turn it back on. If you lose it, you lose it. Just turn it off, turn it back on. The only thing that I will tell you is that you'll learn more by touching and playing it with all the buttons than you will me sitting here doing it. So try that. So Kelly, give it a minute to communicate with it. If you've turned, a lot of times so you'll notice that my machines don't look like they're turned on. They are. They just go to sleep. The screens go to sleep. The lights go off because I have sleep mode set on them for a while. And if I just go touch that screen, it wakes back up. So usually it does have to have, it's got to find it again. And I don't know what machine that you're using. I know that the NQ 3700 and 1700E don't hang on to it doesn't hang on to those very well. So, and I'm not sure why. It may be because it clears that memory at the end, but mine always finds these two. If your machine is not on, it can't find it. Okay. My dad's good. It's just my stepmom needs to go to a baby shower for her granddaughter. So I'm doing daddy daycare for a little while. We're going to go have a little bit of daddy daycare in a couple of weeks. So it's just basically we'll spend the end of the month with him. Okay, P Design 11 is a digitizing program. It has much more create from scratch capabilities than BES does. BES will let you bring in an FCM file and convert it to an applique, but that's about it. Okay. Besides, it has tons of word, it's got the word collage in it. It's got alpha mapping in it. It's got nap control automatic. It's just more about, it's not digitizing software, it's customizing software. It's excellent customizing software, but it's not got the same tools. In addition, P Design has more editing functions built into it. So that whole convert to block, convert to stitches, that kind of thing, or divide by color, that's this software. Having said that, I have a sequence view, but I have to be, you got to be a little bit more careful. So it's just they're just different. There's different reasons to use each one. I float back and forth with it. Kelly, just give it a minute to recognize it. That's unusual that it's not keeping it. because even if I turn my 10 needle off, if I give it a little bit a while, give it a little while to wake up, it usually finds it. I just can't choose it before I go find it. Okay. Yes, that is a dealer only product. So you have to buy it from a dealer in their store. All right, guys, if there's nothing else, I guess I'm going to say goodbye for today. For those of you that do not remember, be sure and join our group, the Education Connection. Heather and I are planning on going live there at least once a month, the exception being June, because we can't find a time that will work in June. And it is the Education Connection. I'm going to type it in right here. Be sure to agree to the rules and answer the questions. If you do that, you will be automatically added. If you don't, you won't. So just be sure and do that. Yeah, it's got to go find and reconnect. Exactly. Thanks, Patty, for the explanation, because that's really, it's got to go back out there and find it. And so glad you're enjoying our Facebook group. But like I said, this June, we may not be able to come up with a time due to our taping schedule for Back to Business. We're doing both an in-person and a virtual version of it this year. And my taping schedule is 1 week. Heather's is another. We can't get it coordinated between that, anniversaries, birthdays, graduations. There's just not, I don't see how June's going to happen. We may pop in and say, hey, one day, but there's not going to be a ton of tips and tricks on that day. So you all have a great rest of the day. And I guess I will see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday will be my last live for this month, because I will be in Florida for the last week. So, and next Tuesday, I will be on Brother Sews, I do believe. We're going to work 10 needle and embellishing projects with our 10 needle. So, yes, things are coming up very quickly. Yes, I'll show you stuff after Back to Business has come. We'll go live a few times during the actual B2B. Yeah, that's August. Y'all know that we all release. We have made no secret of it in the last 2 years. New product release is done in August, and we'll let you know what all's coming that way when we get to August. It is the first week of August. After the dealers get it, you guys get that information. We have to tell our dealers first. So, that's really what our April, May, and June, July are tied up with, basically, is working on our Back to Business stuff. So, y'all have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next week. Bye.